and on PS4.
All right, thank you. Welcome everybody to The Last Guardian. Before we get started, thank you so much to everybody who donated for the cutscene incentive. We did make that, so we will be watching the cutscenes in this game. Before we, get going, I'm going to immediately skip a cutscene, and I know that that seems sort of unjust compared to, meeting the cutscene incentive. All we're skipping is some intro credits, so don't panic. We're not skipping anything important. Timing is going to start here as soon as I hit yes. So to give you a countdown, we can get that timer started in 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you for joining everybody for The Last Guardian. You can see that we're kind of just dropped right into the action here since we did skip those initial credits. So we are this little boy. We have woken up in this cave. This feathered chicken dog beast who is named Trico. I mean, technically that's the name of what he is, not his name. But he's going to be kind of a very important part of this run as we go forward. As the boy, we don't know why we are here. We don't know why this beast is here. And we've got all these tattoos on our body that we also didn't have, seems like 5 minutes ago. So lots of things are very odd right now. Did was pull a spear out of his thigh because it was making him uncomfortable, and we want to do everything we can do to make our chicken dog friend as comfortable as possible. What we're gonna do is feed him because he's kind of in rough shape. He's got some spears in him, chained up, he's kind of bleeding. He eats these suspicious glowing barrels. What's in them is something that, because we get to watch cutscenes, we may have a little bit of a guess by the time that we get to the end of the run. Munching away on these barrels. He does kind of spit out the wooden pieces, but no judgment. If the wooden pieces are tasty, I guess he can eat them. To tell, because this is a speed run and not playing this casually, but he is very upset that I'm here. He won't eat if I'm near him. He'll kind of attack me a little bit if I get too close. He's wearing a little bit of armor. He's got a back piece and like a little helmet. We're gonna go ahead and pull this lever to unchain him from the floor and to unchain his armor, and then we can go ahead and yank out this spear because he can't stand up while it's in his shoulder. We've been tossed all around already. This is not a good day. We've taken the spear out of Trico's leg. We've taken it out of his arm. We've unchained him from the floor. Things are looking pretty good for him. And he realizes that, so he's kind enough to not eat us at the first opportunity he has. The intro credits, which we did skip, were playing. In the background was kind of a hierarchy of animals that started with bugs and, you know, tiny little mice and little creatures, and it went up and up and up into big creatures like elephants, and then even into things like griffins and dragons and phoenixes. And at the very end, it showed Trico. That's the only thing we essentially missed. So it's kind of indicating that Trico is his own, you know, breed of very rare mythical creature alongside dragons and phoenixes. Do this, it essentially never works, but in a game where you have to wait for Trico, you might as well be doing other stuff in the meantime. Hot second to shake off the armor that he was wearing. He doesn't have his helmet, he doesn't have his body armor. He's just all natural Trico. Here you go, buddy. Have one of those. Right now, progress is pretty linear. We're not really going to be able to skip areas of the game, so in this sense, the speed run is kind of chill. You know, we still do play the entire game. But we do use checkpoint resetting, which can help to bring Trico to us or to put him in a more favorable position. And we'll start doing that here in a little bit. So now we've got this mirror, which you will find out shortly why that's important. But it offers a unique and so far new way to solve puzzles, so we might be able to get out of this cave by using this newfound mysterious thing. Trico, in the meantime, has just been totally chilling over here. Trico's not a fan of it. From now on, it will be called the mirror. You can see that the game also calls it the mirror. This thing that I'm holding in my hand. Trico's a little bit unsure about it. Coming up, but first, kind of introduces you to the sort of things that we're going to be dealing with in this speedrun. Lightning out of his tail. Because some developer was like, yeah, I like fuzzy, like chicken mammal creatures. Why don't we have it shoot lasers out of its butt? And everybody was like, yeah, I like it. And that's why Trico has lasers in his butt. So if we point the mirror at things, he shoots lasers. Is basically the premise. And that can help us break things, knock things down, that sort. Here's an example of a checkpoint reset. That's actually going to pull Trico right to us. He'll be right behind me now, although you can't see him, so that we don't have to wait for him to catch up. Watched a run of this game before. Trico is an AI, and as far as AIs go, he is amazing. They really did an excellent job with him, but the fact remains that this is essentially a 3.5-hour speedrun where you tell an AI what to do and hope that it listens. So a lot of interesting problems can be posed by Trico if he doesn't want to listen, if he gets stuck, things like that. Simple things like in that cave previous when he came out butt first. Like, what are you doing, dude? You know, a lot of this run is, what are you doing, dude? And that's what makes it fun. It keeps it interesting. No two runs are the same. Little goober. So we toss that barrel in a place that's hard for him to get, so that he's forced to stand here for long enough that I can hop up here and get off, you know, to go on without him. In general, the best practice is to leave him behind. Quite a while to do things. So we are going to leave him behind when it's possible to do so. We pet him. In fact, there will be some times when we have to pet him. As tempting as it is, we aren't going to stop to pet him, you know, just throughout the run, because he actually likes it so much that he'll sit down and go to sleep. And sitting down and going to sleep is kind of the opposite of a speed run. At this gigantic tower. Throughout the run, you'll see that he's very fixated on this tower. We call it just the White Tower because we who run this game are creative. So the goal of the game, essentially, is, you know, the boy and Trico are kind of in this valley. They can't find a way out. The boy has no idea how he got here, so he's like, well, it looks like Trico wants to go to this tower. I guess we'll go to the tower because maybe he knows something I don't. The goal of the game is essentially to get to that tower. Trico has a rainbow tail, by the way, because I painted it for pride colors. If you give Trico enough snacks, you'll unlock like a spray paint can. And I figured he could have a little bit of rainbow color going on. But yeah, we are trying to get to that White Tower. That's the constant goal of this run. Not necessarily, no. We can truly get into our nice and cozy Last Guardian run. This is definitely a speed run that is different in tone from a lot of other speed runs. It's very relaxed in the sense that a speed run can be relaxed. You know, just very, very chill. Decides to treat us here. We want to get as far away from him as possible at this particular moment. Following us. The closer he follows, that's why I'm not calling him. The closer that he follows, the worse the outcome of this puzzle is going to be. We want him to stay as far back as possible. We'll see where he is. Close. That's alright. The further back that he is, you know, the further away from me he will be. And so, if we had, you know, gotten him to go just a little bit slower, he would be back where he's standing now, and he wouldn't need to do this whole turnaround thing in order to get to me. He would just be ready to go. But a lot of things, including just the game being random, can influence whether he's too fast. So when possible, we are going to checkpoint reset to bring him to us, but that's not always possible. So in situations like that, you know, we just kind of have to hang around and look at his cute face. In our moment, we have no way to tell him what to do. He is just a bird hyena on the loose. He does whatever he wants. So the only thing that we really can do is just call him and hope that he comes to stand in the right spot. Where I position myself is gonna influence where he chooses to position himself. But he can be a little temperamental at this stage because he doesn't actually have any commands to listen to you. And we will get commands later. We will be able to actually control what he does later. That doesn't mean he'll do it. It just means he's more likely to do it. To us yet again, instead of having to wait for him to jump up, he will now be right behind me.
We have a question in chat
Mm-hmm.
asking about Trico's ears being purple. Is it normal for them to be purple?
So I did paint his tail rainbow colors for the Trevor project, but his ears are normally that purple-blue color. I didn't mess with his ears at all. Honestly, I think that it's kind of the game's way of, like, a stereotypical way of reinforcing that he's a boy. It will make a little bit more sense later. He's a boy based on the color of his ears. I mean, the narrator refers to him as a boy, so I'm not just, like, spitballing here, but... Notice that he kind of should have horns, but he doesn't. They're broken. One much more so than the other. Because we get to watch cutscenes, we will find out how that happened. His ears really are kind of a crazy blue, aren't they?
Take your word for it, being a little slightly colorblind myself.
He is 200% against those eyeballs. He just hates them. If I would have stood there for a second, you would have seen that he was growling at it. His eyes were pink, which is the color that his eyes turn when he's very upset. Refused to move until we dealt with that eyeball. He would have just stood there and growled at it and just been stuck. So anytime we see those eyeballs, we're gonna have to get them out of his sight as soon as possible, either by pushing them away or breaking them, doing whatever we can to chill him out, because seems like something sometime happened that made him very afraid of those. You might also notice that the boy is about as flimsy as a wet spaghetti noodle.
I was just actually thinking about that. I love his animations as he's flailing through the air.
He's gonna be contorted in all sorts of positions just because the game is trying to figure out what on earth his physics could possibly be.
Reminds me of like that PUWP physics.
Been times where his physics gets so messed up from just a simple thing like a jump, dropping down a ledge, whatever, that I have to reset. There was one time his arms ended up backwards somehow. Just over each other. And so if I hit the left, left on the joystick to go left, he would go left, and then if I hit right, he would also go left. It was the weirdest thing. The physics is kind of broken.
It's a very pretty game to look at it.
It has such a classic Team Eco feel when it comes to what the game looks like. Super freaked out right now. You can see we're in kind of this pulsating cage. Not want to come down here, but he trusted me in calling him and came down anyway. Kind of a bad idea. Just straight up got it, as you do. Cutscene. We will learn more about later. For right now, somehow Trico ate me, and then I'm here. We're in the same spot, I just seem to not be eaten anymore. And also, the mirror, the thing that I was shining to get him to shoot lightning out of his tail, is gone. That cage, it seemed to really stress Trico out, and might have even hurt him, because he's laying there unconscious right now. So we gotta find a way to help him and progress without him for now. And without the mirror. Not be more relieved. The sections that you have to play with that mirror are kind of my least favorite. That thing being gone. So now we've got these spooky boys. These are the main enemy of the game. Throughout the game, we're gonna have to deal with these guys being unhappy that I'm here. Nope. Is that they're not actually people inside the armor. You'll see that here in a minute. They're actually mist or like spirits or something. They're ethereal, whatever they are. And so when they die, they just kind of pop apart. Like the armor just, falls down. Trico absolutely loathes their helmets. The rest of them he doesn't care about, but those helmets, boy, those get him going. And we're actually going to use that to try to skip a pretty significant puzzle here in just a minute. In an ideal world, I'm going to be able to grab every helmet that is not already in the room that those guys are in and put those helmets back in the room that those guys are in. Trico is going to get really, really upset, and he's going to charge into here. And that's what we want to see. Now, whether that happens or not is RNG, because, as you can see here, Trico is waking up. And he's super angry. So he's gonna fight these guys for me, which is great, because I, as, little kid me, have no power. Just to fight them can be problematic. You see, he threw that one off the bridge, so we don't get a helmet from that guy. This guy, we do get a helmet from, but he's not probably gonna let me hold it. Because he just totally rammed right over me. Buddy, I need you to get out of the way. Thankfully, he kind of did this himself. He just, of his own volition, bolted in here to finish these guys off. That's actually the first time I've ever seen him do that. On the bridge for quite a while. So because he did that, we can actually climb up on his back and get up onto the scaffolding stuff. The game is trying to teach you at this section that when Trico fights armors, he gets really, really upset, and you need to pet him to calm him down. It takes a long time to pet him, because first you have to climb him when he's freaking out, and then you have to actually take the time to pet him for a while and then chill him out. Other times, we can just calm him down by calling him a ton, but for this particular instance, because the game wants to teach you that mechanic, you can't not pet him, unless you do what we just did and trick him to be in that room so you can just leave without him. I have never seen him enter that room of his own volition. But boy, was he excited to do it this time. Was to calm him down, because like I said, I didn't do the thing that the game wanted me to do. I didn't do the whole petting thing. So we needed to reset in order to make sure that he was calm. So he always has to do this. He'll run down like he just did, then he'll run back towards me, and then kind of take a wide loop around this pillar with the ball on it. And no matter what we do, we can't speed this up, so we might as well just enjoy our fuzzy boy. One thing I can show you, if he'll let me, is if you pet his bloody spots, you'll clean them off and they'll go away. So he's over here. He's looking up again at this big white tower. That's really where he wants to go. Every time he sees it, he gets upset. Or, interested, or whatever. Whatever that giant borf means that he does. Is that gonna checkpoint me? We shall see. That was a little bit wonky. Yeah, it did. Okay. It was intentional to fall off, Trico. I didn't necessarily want to fall there, but the checkpoint was the same, so. So now we've got this big vat of stuff. It's shooting out blue goo. Trico really loves it because it smells like whatever's in the barrels, because what's in the barrels is blue as well. So this seems like a big vat of whatever the stuff is that they put into barrels. He's obsessed. He's not going anywhere until we close this thing so that he can't smell it anymore. Gotta pull his head out of that hole, so we'll come up here and reset to pull him to us again. And again, because we don't have commands, because we can't tell him what to do at this point, we kind of have to trick him into doing what we want. I want him to go up onto that pillar, and so in order to do that, I just have to run really far away so he can't see me anymore. And then he's like, oh, where did you go? Guess if I go up here, I can see. And so in that way, he does what you want him to do. You might also notice, by virtue of the fact that I painted his tail, that the black part of the rainbow on his tail used to be the very tip of his tail, but it's not anymore. Now there's kind of an extra chunk at the end. He is growing a longer tail. He's growing a longer tail, and he's getting little nubs where his broken horns used to be, as if he is healing. So whatever those, whoa, whatever those barrels are, they must be some pretty good stuff. Draco, don't leave without me. Draco, don't leave without me. Bye. Okay. Draco left without me. That's okay. That hallway is called Physics Corridor for a reason. It's really easy to get caught on kind of, you know, artifacts of the landscape in that hallway, which is what happened. You know, the boy just got caught and then he got yanked off of Trico's back. Trico is doing yet another pre-scripted thing. He's going over here and actually having a bath. His attention, and he's really upset. You see, he's ruffling his feathers, he's flapping his wings. This is what he sees. So that's got him pretty freaked out. And we'll have to calm him down here for a second. Dude, you're fine. I promise. Yeah, let's go, buddy. And we're supposed to have him jump up above us, and we're supposed to climb his tail. But ain't nobody got time for that, so instead I'm just gonna jump essentially straight to his face and skip the whole puzzle. You can see him yanking his head around. That is such a common thing. You know, you're a fraction of a second from pressing the jump button and his head starts discoing everywhere. And suddenly, you fall into your death because Trico juked you. That eyeball was broken. It wasn't really going to bother Trico, so we didn't have to do anything in particular. And again, reset will bring Trico right next to me. Let's see how he behaves in this section. Challenging to get him to do the right thing. If the camera's gonna lock, it's gonna make it very hard for me to maneuver. But I need to get up onto his back as soon as possible, and I need to get the camera broken so that I can see where I am. Which, I exist somewhere, probably. Boy, he is not really where I want him to be, but that's alright. We made it. One way or another. It's challenging to move around on Trico while he's upset. You know, because he's bouncing around, he's doing all sorts of crazy stuff. And the boy, the wet spaghetti noodle that he is, flops around. We literally call it noodling because he just has no bones. Take care of that. He's a big boy, he could handle himself. Now, if those armors catch me, priority number 1 for them is going to be dragging me back to a blue door. You might occasionally see me run past them. If they take me through that blue door, that's a death, and we do not want that because that's going to reset whatever checkpoint we're working on. But occasionally I will get caught on purpose, and that's because Trico prioritizes saving me over whatever it is that he's doing. So if he's really not listening, or, you know, he's having a hard time, he's stuck maybe, I can get myself caught, and he will kind of refocus. So what happened while we weren't looking is that Trico tried to follow me, and he walked through a door that had a pressure plate on it, and that caused the door to slam, and it slammed right down on his tail, so he's kind of stuck. His tail is stuck in the door, so we're gonna get that out so he's free to move. And if he is a good boy, he will stay back here and fight these armors. We do not want to see him start to walk down this hallway. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but that's really worst case scenario.
We have time for a quick donation.
Sure.
We have a $1 donation from Anonymous. Can I please have one Trico pet? He is good as boy.
The good news is, you absolutely may, because a puzzle up ahead here is actually going to require that we pet Trico if we want to do this in a speedrunner's way. So we will be petting our best boy here in just a minute. Hopefully Trico is about to just zoom down this hallway. He seems a little distracted. He loves these helmets a little bit too much. You see, he's just batting one around. Buddy, we got stuff to do. Come on. Stuck, which is why I'm going to get myself caught, as I was talking about earlier, to kind of get him to focus. Which he's doing kind of a subpar job of doing. So this guy is about to take me through a door. I can't really wait anymore. Whoa. Where did he go? Is he dead? I guess so. Alright, music stopped. I'm gonna go ahead and reset. And now we can begin the puzzle where we pet the good boy. So the game, much like it was trying to teach you about petting Trico before, It's trying to teach you now about how to give Trico commands, how to tell him where you want him to go or what you want him to do. That takes a long time because you have to try to get him to break that barrel crate thing. It takes a really long time. So instead, I'm going to strategically pet him to hopefully just get myself out of this area without having to go through that whole thing. And as I mentioned earlier, when you pet Trico, he sits down, and if you pet him for long enough, he'll actually go to sleep. So we're going to use that to our advantage. We're going to pet him, get him to sit down, pet his head again, get him to sit down, and then we can hop over to here. Hopefully, with some luck, collision will work. It didn't. So we'll have to just try that again. Pets. Free Trico pets, who can complain? The staircase that I'm trying to reach has really wonky collision, which is why sometimes the boy will just, you know, smack his face right into it and nothing will happen. You're kind of going a little bit crazy, okay? Little bit crazy. Little crazy. That, however, was beautiful. He actually lifted his head. There's no way to control it. We've done a lot of testing. There's no way to control which, like, where he lifts his head to. But he actually lifted me to the staircase instead of to the pillar. So there you go. Y'all got some bonus pets. You can also see that if I fall from a pretty far distance, the boy will kind of break his leg. He's not human. He's made of something akin to Jello. So he can totally just walk it off, no problem. But we essentially never want to see that animation. There it didn't particularly matter because we had to wait for Trico anyway. But we really don't want to see that animation because it takes a long time to walk it off. I have commands for Trico. I can tell him where to go or what to do. Let me rephrase that. I can make suggestions about where to go and what to do. That doesn't mean he'll listen. With experience in running this, you can get it to the point where Trico essentially just does what you say. But I think one of the biggest complaints that this game sees for casual players is that Trico is really frustrating and he doesn't listen. And that's just, you know, kind of a product of having to learn how to control him. So I will, throughout the run, be asking Trico very nicely to do things and then hoping that he feels generous. Splat! Touching the ground, there's a checkpoint, so we can actually get down and then restart to avoid having the broken leg. These spooky guard guys will absolutely come to life and catch me if I stand in their light, so we gotta get Trico in here before they see me, since I can't fight these guys on my own. Buddy? Is that both of them? Way to go. Giving him directions is essentially like giving a puppy directions. You can tell them what to do, and they will probably very earnestly try to do it, but half the time they're just like, I don't know, I just love you. Please pet me. There's a lot that goes into reading Trico's body language to understand if he has understood me and if he's doing the right thing. And that comes with just, you know, running this a lot and getting used to Trico. There's some things that he does with his ears, the position of his head, the sounds that he makes, all those sorts of things can clue a runner in to whether Trico is super confused, or didn't listen, or whether he's getting ready to do the thing that you want him to do, but he just hasn't quite figured out how yet. Realistically, though, everybody thinks that Trico is the challenging part of speedrunning a game like this. He is not. He is much more reliable than the boy. Because this is a Team Eco game, you know, this is the same people who made Shadow of the Colossus and Eco. But unlike, for example, Shadow of the Colossus, there is no grab button. And in a game like this, where you spend 80% of your time grabbing onto Trico, that's odd, you know?
What? There's not a grab button?
There's not. There's not. It's literally just the game hitting
nice.
when you want to grab. So that means I just jump and hope that the boy grabs something, which is why things like failing that command skip the first time happen. Because I am in no control over whether the boy grabs things or not. I can grab like this, I can pull, but there's no like hold on. So it's a constant worry about, you know, is Trico gonna shoot out from under me because the boy's not grabbing? Things like that. Good catch, dude. Yes, the helmet. Another significant thing, which you just saw happen, is that everything is mapped to the circle button. Pulling the heads off of armor, if we have it, using the mirror, all of that is the circle button. It's not like we have, you know, 10 other buttons on this controller that aren't doing anything. Looking through the floor. Okay, that should be okay. So a lot of times you'll see exactly what just happened, where I tried to grab a helmet to pull it off of a suit of armor, and instead I just grabbed, you know, some random piece of something on the floor that didn't matter. So I'll be trying to fight helmets, and I'll just go over and give Trico a pet on the leg. Which isn't a bad thing, I mean, you know, pet Trico, but...
Circle button can do anything except grab.
Trico's gonna be super upset at this, of course, which means we're just gonna get rid of it. And he's still standing like a weirdo on his back legs. Takes actually a long time for him to come down from doing that, which is why we did that reset there. Because now he's standing on all fours again. For love of Trico, but also, you know, for love of speedrun, we should actually remove these spears. Obviously, we love Trico, and we don't want him to have a bunch of spears in him for the entire run, but there is going to come a point where the game does a spear check. It's going to examine how many spears are in Trico. And if he has too many, we won't be able to progress until we pull them out. And that doesn't necessarily seem like such a problem until you realize that sometimes, because of what's happening at that particular point, he might have spears in him that you can't reach. And that's an issue, because then the game wants you to pull them out, but you can't reach them. So we do want to kind of keep an eye on what's happening with his spears throughout the run. We go. I am doing a number of movement tech type things that are probably, you know, not very noticeable. If I hit the ground with enough force that the boy would temporarily stop, I can tap crouch to sort of get him out of that animation and start running again. So that's one way that we're making this faster. The direction that I'm pointing when I give him commands does matter. What commands I give him also matters. Trico, I don't really want to be on your cheek. Oh, this is an awful place to be. So there are lots of, you know, low-key movement tech type things that I am doing throughout. Fall damage cancel. Because we were able to land on that pillar and trick the boy into thinking he was climbing something, it canceled the distance that he fell, and so he didn't realize how far he fell, and so he didn't take fall damage. Which means he didn't break his leg and have to do the hobbly around thing. So we've got this pot of goo, right? Draco is just such a fan of his creepy, glowy goo. So obviously we know he's gonna like this. It's the same as what's in the barrels, it's the same as what was in that giant vat that he was obsessed with earlier. And we can use his obsession of it to solve a puzzle. You like this, buddy? Here you go. Conk. And splat again, because resetting will move that container closer to where we want it to be. And we won't have a broken leg, so. So you can see by Trico's eyes that he's already like, yes, yes, I would like this. Have fun. And as he's yanking on it, this door is going up and down because the chain is connected to the thing that moves the door. Having a blast over there. We're gonna get this going as a way to prop open the door when eventually he holds it high enough that we can actually stick this underneath. This boy is, you know, in addition to being made out of goo, or spaghetti, whatever you prefer, he has the strength of 1,000 men. Like, this thing surely weighs hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, and he's just like, yeah, you know, whatever. I work out 2 days a week, I'm fine. So Trico sees us, and he's like, oh, hey, buddy, I forgot you were over there. And he wants to get to us. And his bright idea is, hey, let's ram the gate. Ramming the gate doesn't help, so I'm actually going to give him commands that say, hey, don't do that. Instead, focus on that. I gave him a command literally to interact with that, to get his attention back on the blue goo. When he does the big pull, but he's usually pretty consistent about doing it pretty quickly. Here it comes. So now I don't know what this thing is, but he loves it. Obsessed with it, even more than the food. Sometimes runners can lose, 3-4 minutes here trying to get Trico away from this thing. See, he loves it. Sniff, sniff. Hey, buddy, we got places to be. Things to see. Barrels to eat. This seems about right.
Yeah, as I say, it looks like a giant chew toy.
I don't know what he likes about it so much, but I can't remember the last time that I had a run where he just sniffed it and then was like, okay, I'm good, and just moved on. He's often there for a minute or more. Some eyeballs coming up, which obviously he is not gonna like. Preemptively, I'll grab this helmet and wait for him to hop up. The force of him hitting the ground is often enough to knock the boy down, which is why I kinda, stood out of the way. But because I have this helmet already, I can move during this cutscene and start to solve this puzzle before the cutscene is over. Just like with that axle thing back there, he really, really likes to sniff at these pieces. Hopefully we can get him off of this pretty quick. Hey, buddy. Hey. 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 Dude. Drigo. Thank you. You see there I was kind of knocked back by the force of his landing. Try to step out of the way of him when I can. Big eyeball. No way he's gonna come anywhere near this. So we'll have to get rid of this. And it seems like these were placed pretty strategically, to keep Trico off of things, right? Leave without me. Trico. Buddy. Hey. 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 Trico. Don't leave without me. That's another first. I've never seen him go far enough that he could actually run back to me. You were really gonna leave me behind, weren't you? No mistake about it, he will. I have been left behind in other sections where I need his help. You can actually see, there's another eyeball over there. There's one over here. It seems like whoever built this place put these eyeballs in places where they didn't want Trico to be. Because things are fragile and he's probably too heavy. So he's trained, somehow, to associate these eyeballs with things that he shouldn't do. And he missed. time holding on, and we do need to actually kind of move quickly. There is a time limit to this. You can fail, and Trico will fall. He needs something to hold on to, so we'll toss that out of the way so that that log thing can roll closer to him and he has something to grab. And then down in between his wings, because if we position ourselves just right, we'll be able to move again while a cutscene is playing. And sort of, unfortunately, leave him behind. Oh, he did a good job. He saved me, I saved him. We're buddies. Now this guy in the far corner there, you can see he has a spear. If I get close to him as the boy, and Trico is not with me, he'll have a sword, and he'll chase me. But if Trico's with me, he'll keep that spear and go after Trico, which is why you reset there, so that he'll just get out of the way and go after Trico. If these armors aren't, you know, directly catching me, they're casting those little runes that you just saw. Which kind of clog up my screen. You can see that they also happen here when I get caught, and I have to button mash to get them to go away. Put me down. Too many of those on your screen, and the boy will not listen to what you do. You know, he'll sort of be too clogged up to listen. If you're far away. They kind of Naruto ninjutsu hand sign at you. Because this eyeball is here, I'll just get this out of his way, and he can come in and rampage as much as he likes. There's essentially two ways that Trico fights, right? Sometimes he'll hit a suit of armor, and when he hits it, it'll explode like that. And sometimes it'll just fall down and, you know, get back up after a little while. Bye! If Trico tends to not kill enemies, if he just, you know, taps them down, that's called Pacifist Trico. It's a reason for early run resets. You test it mostly in the room with the soldiers that were down on the ground with the light coming from their eyes. If he refuses to explode any of them, it's a reset. Because he will stay pacifist for the entire run, and then fights are just so much slower. Non-pacifist. Down here and back up. You good? Alright, he was kind enough to avoid the infinite loop for us. That eyeball really makes him angry, and if he tries to hop up here by taking a step forward first instead of to the side, he'll get too close to the eye and get angry again, and that'll just go forever. You know, he'll get angry, and then he'll back up, and then I'll give him the command, and he'll go forward, and then get angry and back up, and then I'll give him a command, and he'll go forward and get angry. It's just a vicious cycle. He listened very well, because he's a good boy. And went right to the side. you know, freaking out. And looking like a weirdo, apparently. Hi! And whatever yoga poses he was just doing. We need to get rid of this eyeball. Because we want to go this way across these pillars, and he certainly isn't going to be jumping across here with his eyeballs here. Looks like a risky puzzle because it seems, you know, so precarious. But realistically, this is one of the easier parts of the run. It's always solved the same way, the same button presses, it's very consistent. And this quick chain climbing is actually attributable. I also run inside, and a couple of the inside runners a while ago taught me how to climb chains like this in inside. And I thought to myself, well, if it works in inside, maybe it works in Last Guardian, and it turns out that it does. So this quick chain climbing is a direct result of people like the Eevee Bro and Parhelion, who run those, you know, inside limbo little nightmares. And the innovations that they made in those games. It's gone, buddy. Camera, I tell you what, the camera wants me to look in a particular direction because it thinks that that's, you know, cinematic. And for a casual playthrough, it would be. For the sake of a speed run, boy, I just want to look in the direction that I actually want to look. So a lot of the times the camera will just really inconveniently switch and swivel around right at the last minute. Moving your head in the middle of a jump. Oh boy. Oh boy. Not where I wanted to be. I think we're okay. Works in the game. If the boy is on, like I was there, if the boy is on like the lowest part of Trico's feet or legs, the momentum actually can be enough to just completely kick the boy off of Trico. Never really a place you want to be. You know, down on his ankles. Ankles? Wrists? I suppose he has wrists, right?
We do have a $25 donation from Alex the Ordinary. Happy to donate to such a worthy cause. Good luck on the run, Sable. Hopefully both Trico and the boy behave.
Thank you, Alex. I don't have too many complaints about how both of these boys have been behaving. Really good. He's listening well. He's not really getting stuck. stuck on that pillar. You know, he can't go anywhere. He's counting on me to help him. And that's what I'm trying to do. Not really sure how I'm gonna help him, but... So I've got to figure it out. In the game that you use the shove command, that is one of them because it functions as a kind of janky dodge. And the other time was to shove close the lid of the big vat of goo. But don't worry, that got a dedicated button, not like all the other things that are all on the circle button.
Or you can grab.
Good example of how the boy doesn't grab. Again, I don't have a grab button. It's fine. It's not that long of a section to redo. Because I'm just like right here. But I wish that I had a grab button for things like grabbing this ledge. On the one hand, I kind of get it. Because if you're spending... It's different than Shadow of the Colossus. If you're spending 80% of your time grabbing, you don't want to be holding a button the entire time. I get it. But it does kind of seem weird that I have absolutely no control over it, you know? To be made for both choices. Buddy. Supposed to solve that puzzle. You're supposed to wait till he's over here and then just drop down onto him. But with a little bit of practice, you can time out how you can land on his head. And that'll be the fastest way to solve that puzzle. He's gonna come into this room, and he's gonna be like, whoa. As a Trico, I feel like I have helped you far more than enough, and I'm hungry. I'm not moving from this spot until you feed me. Because he's just got an attitude like that. A barrel, before he even, you know, starts throwing his little hunger tantrum. Helpful later? Might as well move it now. Solve this puzzle is to throw this barrel from ledge to ledge and stop it, you know, jump over and stop it from rolling off before it rolls off. And do that until you're out of here. But we are just going to do that skip, which actually happened immediately, and just walk out of here with it instead. Barrel skip like that, but they all work the same way. It's all about getting the boy's hitbox to collide with a certain very small, I wouldn't say it's, you know, just one pixel or whatever. A very small chunk of the ledge so that he can step onto it when he shouldn't be able to. No, you better eat that. Times that I've given him that barrel and then he chooses to just chuck it across the room. And I'm standing in here like, where's Trico? But he chucks his barrel across the room and then refuses to move because I'm hungry. The boy whispers when he's in this like creepy dark room. You know, I mean, Trico has flashlight eyeballs because why not?
If he wasn't friendly, that'd be terrifying.
Even if he is friendly, it might still be a little terrifying.
Maybe a bit.
This jump is very hard for him. I can see that he hasn't really understood. He didn't understand that time either. There we go. Challenging for him. I think it's just that it's such a tight space. To wrench himself into the right position. There is a skip here that actually kind of saves a not insignificant amount of time, but because we met the donation incentive for watch all cutscenes, I am not going to do it. It doesn't technically count, you know, as a cutscene. It's more of just a scripted event. But in the spirit of all cutscenes, I do want to show it. The other Trico, the first time that Trico got upset, this is the game's way of, you know, proving to you that there is another Trico out there somewhere. Our Trico keeps hearing it and keeps thinking that he sees it, and that's what upsets him sometimes, when it doesn't look like there's anything for him to be upset about. Eyeball right above me and one even above that. Those two things are what Trico is currently angry at. So those are the goals that we're working on right now. Trying to get rid of those. These vines are very reminiscent of Shadow of the Colossus. They might even be exactly the same ones. Two that are very much like Shadow of the Colossus. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, you can't eat them. I always thought maybe it was a little weird that you pick up lizard tails and eat them, but you know, maybe they're tasty. Rope of my life. There we go. Entirely correct. You wiggle toward the rope as it falls, and you hope that you grab it. And if you don't, you cry a little on the inside. Excuse me, little boy, what are you doing? This run has just been so full of I've never seen this before.
It's the marathon.
It really is. Maybe we can find something that is actually like a skip. That would be good. Movement tech going on here to let me run across this rope instead of shimmy. Trico, in the meanwhile, is kind of stressing out. He's like, I don't know where I want to go with this eyeball. But I just grabbed that literally by letting the boy fall and then pushing the boy in the direction of that bar and just hoping that he grabbed it. Common here for Trico to shoot out from underneath you like a surfboard, because again the boy doesn't grab. So one thing you'll see me do to kind of get around that is reach down and pet Trico, because that ensures that the boy is in his grabbing position for at least a little while. It doesn't guarantee that he's not going to come flying off anyway, but it helps. Up here. All these things, poor Trico. Alright, let's get rid of this for our best boy so he feels better. Really glad he caught me. He can miss, for sure. Like, unironically, unscripted, he can miss. And then you just fall to your death.
That doesn't seem like a place where he should be able to miss.
Yeah, you would think that would have been a guaranteed catch, but actually kind of pretty precise how you have to move and when you have to drop in order for him to catch you. Suck all of the epicness out of it, though. And that can happen a lot. You know, Trico misses, or in the case of Trico running across those pillars earlier, I definitely could have just been kicked off of his feet, and so, you know, you're in the middle of watching this really epic cutscene, and then it just fades to black, and you're like, what? There's a lot of times that can happen. So this is definitely a super random reliant run, you know? Sometimes you can just have a really amazing run, and sometimes you can do the exact same things and have a run that's, you know, 15 minutes slower. Kind of does what he's doing now, which is taking in the scenery. This entire section with this tower, any time loss or time gain is 100% reliant on Trico. As soon as I reset, Trico is programmed to go up the tower by himself. And so if he's slow, there's just absolutely nothing I can do about it. It keeps it interesting to run because every run is different, every run is unique. But, you know, there's a reason that the world record holder hasn't been challenged for 2, almost 3 years, because he had a really, really lucky run. And he's a really good runner. So those two things just kind of go together, and it's pretty tough to beat.
So what is the current record?
The current record is 318. I have a 323, so I'm close. So there's that other Trico. Trico was right. He for sure heard her.
Long live.
That is exactly what my split is called for that section. Long live the king. To a perhaps a little too aggressive boop, we have been booped all the way down to the bottom of the valley again. We were making really good progress toward that white tower, and she kind of wrecked it. What I was saying earlier about Trico's ears. You see that Trico has those bluish purple ears? She has very pinkish brown ears, much lighter. And, you know, just kind of in the animal kingdom, right? It's usually the males that are brighter and more colorful, which is why I think that Trico is a boy and that other Trico is a girl. In answer to the ages-old question of why Trico's ears are blue. Where Trico just noped out on me before. He's supposed to, you know, help, but I've had it where he just kind of looks at me and then he's like, nah, I think I can do this without you, and he jumps down and I never see him again. With his mouth, and he's realizing that he can't reach me with his hands and he can't reach me with his mouth. So he's kind of at a loss about what to do. I'm telling him, hey, why don't you try to go above me? And thankfully he listened. And also, you know, almost kicks me in the face, but he didn't. So he listened. That means his tail is going to be in a place where I can grab it. If the RNG gods are favorable today. Need you to move a little bit. Thank you. So coming up here, I am going to try to trick the game into thinking that I didn't fall as far as I did. If I don't trick it, I will die. But if I did trick it, which I did, the game will completely forget how far I fell because I grabbed something. That is just far enough that the game thinks that you are dead. Like, sometimes if you fall far enough, it doesn't matter if you hit the floor. The game will just, you know, call it good and give you the death screen. But because we were able to grab those vines, we sort of cheated the game out of a death and got right to the floor. Same principle as the first one. Kind of just hook the kid up onto a rock that he's not supposed to be on. Because again, The intended solution is you throw the barrel from platform to platform, stop it from rolling down, and eventually get it out of here. We were here before, if you didn't recognize this place. This is where helped us open the door. Oh, I thought he got it. Someday it's gonna happen. It's my dream that someday I'm gonna drop this in a place where he can just get it without my help. It's never happened, but he was so close. Is really a phenomenal piece of work. That it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Unreliable, that it doesn't do what you say. Just aren't being specific enough with their commands, you know? He will do what you say. If he doesn't, it's because something in the environment has accidentally broken him. It happens, but it's rare. The rest of the inconsistency is just the game trying to figure out how to game. Like, right away, it's because the game is trying to line up his model with the place that he needs to jump. And he only has one jumping animation, so if he's not lined up to do that, sure, it's going to take him longer if he needs to line up to do it. And that's what causes all the variance and all the inconsistencies and everything. The reason he's not listening is actually because he's stuck. He didn't take a step over to the left like he should have. Thankfully, it looks like I was able to break him of that, and now he'll take that step. But, like, everything is in there, you know? Everything is programmed to happen. The inconsistencies are just... sometimes even like that, not taking one step to the left. And it keeps things fun and interesting. Camera. Now the camera, I make no excuses for. The camera is not good. Camera is like a floating drone that follows you. And so if it gets to a place where the drone would run into a wall, it will just go black. And you can't see anything. It's the weirdest thing. It's kind of a really odd choice. The camera often gets locked. And you could unlock it by just jiggling it. It's odd. I make no apologies for the camera, but... least is understandable. Now these guys up ahead are the first armors we're gonna see that have mirror shields. They're holding them up in front of Trico to stop him from fighting. And these guys are kind of a big deal, because if Trico... really, that guy didn't go over? Fighting because of these mirror guys, which he shouldn't here. Well, become more pacifist for some reason. So we really need to make sure, whenever we see these mirror guys, that those mirrors get destroyed. Good kick, Trico. I really don't want to pull this guy's head off. Trico's gonna kick me right in the face and yeet me out this window. I know this because it's happened before. Trico, don't murder me, okay? Thanks, buddy. Way to recover. Okay, except you nearly killed me anyway. I forgive you. You were trying hard. Follow me. Indicate that there's a barrel nearby. It's actually behind this guy. If we were to carry one of the helmets and put the head on this guy, he would wake up, and then we could get the barrel. The more blue butterflies you have around you, the closer you are to the barrel. So since I'm standing right next to it, I have 3. You got it? There you go. The boy will not grab for this jump. Let's see if he lets Trico skate right out from under him. Oh, he did actually grab. That's surprising. Again, you know, we've got this other Trico that's kind of just hopping around in the background. So if you can see ahead, there is blue smoke, which means only one thing. Trico's tasty goo. Anytime there's tasty goo involved in the equation, Trico is just gone. We have no control over him. Leap down a giant hole because it's got a pot of goo down there. And the entire next puzzle is focused around getting Trico to not pay attention to this anymore. I was getting all lovey-dovey with his pot of goo there. I'm gonna switch the train track. Minecart track, whatever that thing is. So that we can push it in a straight line instead of off into a dead-end corner. That way we can start to get it away from him. You know, again, how much must this weigh? 800 pounds? 1,000 pounds? What would this weigh? But the boy's just like, yeah, you know, whatever.
It's a good thing you don't need any oil for those wheels. Well, maybe I might have spoke too soon.
Was up, we are down. Is very heavily RNG. There's a couple ways we can manipulate it to be more in our favor, but it is one of the most random puzzles in the game. To the corner because for some reason dragging is more precise than pushing. Hopefully, by this point, maybe, Trico is above us. Because I need him to just walk around a lot. And if we're lucky, he will step on a couple of boards that are weaker than the others, and they'll come loose. How long it takes him to do this is just entirely random. You can actually see his claw clipping through the floor, right on top of the board that he needs to break. So hopefully he's close. Buddy. There you go. Okay, so that's part one. That was not too bad. That was a pretty average amount of time to wait for him. Now, there's a hole in the ceiling. And if he can see me through it, which he can, he's gonna be like, hey! Hi! Hi, buddy. So me, unbeknownst to him, his tail is accidentally slipping through the hole that he made. And down it comes, using a little bit of camera manipulation that for some reason makes his tail fall faster. Alright, and out we are. It went fairly well. It can definitely be challenging to get his tail to come down, and of course, if you haven't guessed by the physics of this game so far, sometimes his tail just won't. It'll get stuck. The same way early on in the run I got clipped by a piece of the environment and got yanked off of Trico. Sometimes, you know, his tail just snags on something. And it'll never ever come down. Sometimes you can actually see his tail get snagged when he's far away from you. Like, it'll stretch an absurdly long length because it's stuck on something before it finally pops free like a slinky. Just to me for all of its oddities. Yeah, but he's gonna want this in a second. But right now he's focused on fighting these enemies, so we're, you know, getting way ahead of him here. Because he doesn't know how hungry he's gonna be as soon as he calms down.
Adunete sese biukuzi, iwete kasi, tu nek, oratu, ona katu, awezi.
See that the tip of his tail lights up when he eats barrels? Just a little fun fact. And he's real happy. He's full again, he's feeling good. Over there, please. Okay. Think if we could find a way to keep the boy from noodling when Trico moves, we could save 20 minutes off of this run.
The de-noodle glitch.
Appreciation for Wonder in Shadow of the Colossus. Like, comparatively, how composed he was while those things were swinging around. Much as this boy does.
Ageta tu no, Matisa, awezi.
Being a theme, Trico likes to break things. He's very good at breaking things. because while it is, you know, adorable that the boy grabs, and in fact, because Trico throws you onto the flat of his back where you're usually supposed to stand, the boy often doesn't grab, so Trico will throw you onto his back and then you'll just bounce off and fall to your death. So it's a risky strategy to let Trico pick you up like that, but it does save time. For a very inconsistent glitch, odds are it's not going to work, but it would be cool if it did. When I land on this bridge, armor in the next room will not spawn. No, it all spawned. It's always worth trying because you're gonna reset there anyway. But if the glitch actually works, the only guy who spawns is this guy in the back with the spear. The 3 others, including this guy with the mirror, which is kind of a big deal, do not spawn, and it makes the fight so much easier. Broken, we don't need to worry about, you know, whether Trico is gonna stop fighting, and I can just go ahead and get caught. Buddy. Well, I guess you did too. That was weird. One way or another, all these guys are gone. And you can see Trico's tail continues to get a little bit longer. To calm him down instead of petting. And then I'll tell him to interact with that. And by that, I mean that gear that's hanging out of the wall. He sees it, and he will soon, maybe, start to mess with it. Buddy. Thanks. Right over your toes. Move your little toesies. Okay, you can probably see where this is going once Trico decides that he likes the look of this thing. He loves to play with it. Even without the command, he'll often do this because he likes to play with it. To fit through that grate. So instead, we have to kind of help him realize where we are and get him up here. Coming after we get Trico up here and get him, you know, navigating through this little labyrinth. We've got water puzzles. They are kind of the bane of a lot of casual players' existence, but for the sake of a speedrun, they're actually one of the most consistent spots. They're always done the same way. Trico essentially always behaves the same way. You shouldn't have too much problem with those. The run starts to get hard again. With one section that is most certainly a competitive run killer. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Sometimes, you know, in situations like this, as an example, there isn't really a good reset. You know, there's nothing to pull Trico closer to us, and so we just kind of have to wait. You look so sad, buddy. Trico, why are you taking such agonizingly slow steps? I love you, my dude, but we got places to be. So if there were a reset there, you know, obviously we would take it to pull Trico closer, but sometimes you do just have to wait. And as a tip, if you're looking for trophies for this game, run in here and don't look at Trico for a little while, just keep your back turned to him. This is one of the easiest places to get the elusive, I think it's just called Call of Nature trophy for catching Trico pooping. Lots of people have that just as the final trophy that they need before the platinum. And they just can't get those Trico poops. Said before, these water puzzles are consistent. It's just, you know, a matter of getting through them. They're not any particular challenge, really. Be afraid of the water, which is what the game wants you to, you know, think at the beginning. He likes water, he just doesn't... He doesn't like it at the beginning because he's not sure about you, he's not sure about a lot of things. But as he starts to get to know you and trust you, you know, you start to see that he does actually quite like water. You can also see that his horns are essentially completely regrown. They were broken at the beginning. But we've given him enough barrels to regrow the pieces that were gone. This second one is the final one. It's a little bit harder. It definitely tripped me up the first time that I played this game just casually. I had no idea how to solve this. How to solve it. It's actually one of my favorites. I think that it's very creative. At this point is up on this island, and he is a big boy, and big boys make big waves when they jump into the water, so he's gonna help us out. I like the solution to that puzzle. I think that it's frustrating until you figure out what it is, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. So what we're doing here is we're opening gates underneath the water level by pulling these levers, and those are what Trico is going through. So he's going to go through the one that we just opened here. But there's just one problem, and that is giant chicken dog ferret cat thing has much bigger lungs than we do. how he just did not even notice. Your little boy's gone?
また見せた
Eh,
らな。おとつい
it's fine.
いらかぜあらさいいにやぜあウィ
So we're separated. I nearly drowned. Trico, who knows where on earth he went. We are gonna have to play the game separately. You know, we don't have a Trico to help us. And this is the start of the notorious cage puzzle. If anybody has seen runs of this before, cage puzzle is a stopping point. It will absolutely kill runs. It is one of the hardest things in the run. Thankfully, you know, we're not quite so strict for a marathon, so it should be pretty fun. Much randomness. And I say that a lot, you know, in the context of this run, but it really shines through here. Because this is a physics-based puzzle. Where physics can, you know, send you hurtling 1,000 miles an hour into the air, clip you through the floor, you know, merge you permanently with Trico's face until you're some sort of weird Trico man. Like, you probably aren't gonna have very consistent physics-based puzzles, right? I'll explain a little bit more about what's going on here. Our main focus is finding where on earth our best friend went. Because suddenly this place is a lot scarier when you're by yourself. This section is pretty standard. It's just some platforming. Always goes the same way, just know where you're going. This game has an obsession with, like, things falling, like those leaves. If Trico is moving somewhere, if you're climbing on these vines, there are just pieces everywhere. They love having pieces come off of stuff. Got some Trico feathers here. So we'll follow those in hopes of finding our friend. Which I am not going to climb because it's a little bit slower. The problem is, that's not our Trico.
あたきゃんイエヘドトリコンオノマスティイエハローゼ
That is the lady Trico that has been nothing but mean to us since the very beginning. This is not the way you're meant to solve this puzzle, by the way. You're meant to climb up on the tree and then climb across a rope and essentially be out of her direct line of attack for most of the fight, but that takes a long time. So instead we play risky strats and we just run right in front of her face. Be quick in order to one-cycle her. That long grab is actually kind of dangerous, but it looks like it's fine. The boy has different grab animations, and if he chooses that long one, it wastes enough time that she can catch up. She will just slam her claws right into that alcove and either shoot you backward or kill you. Again, to get her to go to the opposite side. Well, she is very angry, and we are nothing but a little toy to her right now. There's nothing we can do. Thankfully, that noise is distracting to her. Her horns are resonating with the noise. And so thankfully she leaves us alone. But now we're trapped in this cage with nowhere to go. Because, you know, there's nothing this way. There's a ledge there that we can't get over. And over there is a long fall. So, we're kind of trapped. Trico's not here. The boy will actually say, it feels like I waited for an eternity. So we do actually kind of have to just sit here and wait for an eternity. This is intentional. Whether I move the cage or don't move the cage, it'll take the same amount of time. You can also see there's a helmet in here with me. That will be relevant later, but not right now. Right now it's just a piece of debris that keeps me continually breaking my leg as I move this cage around. The little cutscene, we can get this cage back here. This is a really good setup. So we're going to be trying to take the cage over there. You can see that little divot with the planks. Gotta try to roll the cage over to there. That's easier said than done, because we're going to get some help, right? From our dearest boy, Trico. Trico loves to be helpful, and that's great. Except, sometimes he doesn't know when to stop being helpful. And I mean, he's precious and he's wonderful. But when I have the cage set up just so, and I really just need to go in a straight line, I really need Trico to not come over and sniff me or whatever and, you know, send the cage just spinning out into oblivion. So Trico in this puzzle could be a little bit too helpful, and that's part of what makes this such a run killer. This cage is very finicky, very physics-based. It is very, very hard to get yourself unstuck. Hopefully I can put on a good show here and do it with no problems. Trico comes down here. He is gonna smell that the other Trico is here, and he's gonna wanna, you know, walk around and check things out. That takes a lot of time. So I'm gonna do a reset. Makes it a little more disadvantageous as far as where we can put the cage, but it'll skip that entire, you know, him sniffing and everything. That was an alright setup. Realistically, it's a little bit far to the right. Not very much I can do about it. Fix it here a little bit. That might be a little bit better. Yeah, I missed you too, buddy. Please help, but only help a little. The push in the wrong direction. It's nobody's fault. It was just Trico deciding which side to push on, and he pushed on the wrong side. I can't do it without you. I'm sure you can see why this puzzle is challenging in the context of a speedrun. Push to the right. To the left. That's why we don't push to the left, buddy. Okay, I think for the sake of setting this up, I'm just gonna reset this. Being wedged in that corner is just super much a nightmare. Okay, that should be a better setup. That's actually basically exactly where I want to be, so. Max with the boy is just so adorable, and they really nailed, you know, his personality. Like, even this, he's not pushing me, he's just snuggling the cage, because he missed me. You know? We didn't get to see that last time because I was moving the cage. Nailed his personality. Okay, buddy, can you push to the right this time? Push, push! To the left today. Well, that's okay, we're up here, so... I need Trico to not do anything. I was very lucky there that he actually helped by doing something. I really need you to leave me alone, buddy. Because I need space to go back, you know, to reorient this cage. And he's often in the way. End of cage puzzle. There's definitely more. But I would argue that that part is a little bit harder than the second part. We finish this off before Trico catches up, because again, as much as I love him, he's just super in the way for this puzzle. Oh boy. Let's see here. I'm gonna reset that. The worst place for that cage to go is to the left of the other cage. That might have been workable. But there are some places where this lands where you just cannot get free. There's not enough space. This one should be workable. Stuck behind that other cage. Go, go, go. Oh, we lost momentum. Don't give up, little boy. Get in there. Come on, little boy. Alright, fine, I'll roll it back. So much physics. There we go. Cage puzzle is over. Leg approximately 12 times by now. I'm sure it's just shattered into little pieces, but he doesn't seem to mind. So once again, Trico is getting super hungry, and he's gonna pull that thing where he's like, I'm not moving until you give me a barrel. So that's what we're heading off to do. Heading off because I have a head in my hands. We will put this head on the suit of armor, and then he'll step out of the way. I love doing this. This guy gets distracted for just a second, and that's enough time to step up here. It's the same as the other barrel skips. You know, just kind of hooking yourself up. But that one just feels extra satisfying because that guy seems so disappointed. So we have a little bit of platforming to do, and then following that will be a long slew of cutscenes. I promise they are so worth it. They make everything just so much better. But that being said, they are long. So I'll let you know when they start, but I will be taking a short break just to stand up, you know, stretch, get some water. If you've been watching for this entire time, you might want to take a drink yourself, since it's been, you know, more than 2 hours. Definitely don't leave the cutscenes because they are phenomenal. This game by itself is great, but the cutscenes are what take it from an A to an A+. A lot of this section is really reading Trico's body language, understanding when he has understood what to do. He knocked me over with his ear, of course. Too many commands will confuse him. If you overload him with commands, he will just choose to do none of them. Or, you know, he'll start just going haywire. If I just spam commands, that's how you get Trico to go backwards and do things that you don't want. So it's really important to, you know, just give him the command that you want and then rely on his body language to let you know whether he's understood, which he hasn't. So we want him to come out through the hole that he came in from. He's stuck, which we can get him unstuck. He'll probably sit and stand a couple times. I hopped down in an effort to keep him from getting stuck here, but I don't know why he does this. Even after all this time, I don't know why. There you go. You know, he wants to sniff, he wants to smell and check out the other Trico that was here. If we stay here long enough, the boy will actually remark like, "Come on, Trico, we need to go. The other one is gonna come back." Alright. He's got it. The next bit, it's not, you know, scripted, but Trico does understand what to do. I won't need to give him commands for this next jumping section. I think, honestly, there are some parts of the game... there's the White Tower, by the way. That's where we're trying to go. There are some parts of the game that I think the developers realized, you know, you really have no reason to know where you're going next. And so in those situations, they program Trico to just do things on his own. So that sometimes, you know, when you're playing, if you can't figure out where to go next, just hop on Trico, and he might just take you to where you need to be. You good? So with Cage Puzzle over, the next challenging thing that we're going to be doing is over on that big bridge you can see over there, the one in front of the White Tower. We're going to be attempting White Tower skip. It's... I don't want to say that it's marathon unsafe, but it is by far the hardest thing in this speed run. It is very, very inconsistent because you're trying to cheat the boy into a place that the game does not want him to be. But I am going to try it because I'd like to show it off if I can. So that's kind of on the horizon as something challenging coming up. Like, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, we can just solve it as intended. There's never really a way to just break the last Guardian. I just want to be on your head, Trico. Thank you. That was actually really nice. A lot of times he'll turn his head to the left and kind of wedge it in a corner, and then you can't make that jump. So that saves a little bit of climbing time. So we're going to open a door up here, and then the fun starts. This is one of my favorite parts of the run. If you are here for the story, you are going to be in for a treat. Hey, friend? Even though I said, come on in, friend, I am totally not going to wait for him. He's slow. So here's another one of these cages, right? The last time we went into a cage like this, Trico went completely ballistic, and he just ate me. Straight up ate me. Is not a place that he really likes to be. However, this time, even though he knows a little bit better, he knows not to jump down in here, I've got these guards after me, and it's more important to him that I'm safe, so he comes down to help me anyway, even though he's afraid. No, there's really no reason to expect a different result. I got maunched again. These cages just make him crazy. But now, thanks to our Met donation incentive, we get to enjoy what is one of the best cutscenes in the game. And while these cutscenes are playing, I am going to step away, stretch my legs. I will be back.
If you're just tuning in, we're currently just enjoying some nice cutscenes from an incentive we met for Last Guardian. So no skipping here. Just gonna take a nice stretch break, But you're watching Power Up with Pride here. We are running from June 12th to the 14th, all day, all those days. So this time we're benefiting the Trevor Project. I'm also kind of watching the cutscene as well because I haven't seen it. It's interesting, but oh, okay. He's just gonna eat the kid. I wouldn't have guessed that's where this cutscene was going. Okay then. What? Okay, yeah, no, that's surprising.
Inamoto autumnum isarabea.
The village elder guy responds, "Kinda seems like this isn't the first time this has happened."
I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting that. Kind of caught off guard when he just started eating kids. Or at least one kid.
A Trico who just got struck by lightning, a piece of his tail flew off, his horns are broken, and he came back to this place with a spear in his shoulder and a spear in his thigh. Might
That
sound a
seems
little familiar.
Yeah, very familiar.
doing this, why they are, you know, chaining Trico up down here where we first found him. It's a little unclear. I think it's kind of assumed that, you know, just like we saw the other Trico when that spooky sound happened in the background and its horns were resonating with the sound, I think that they think that because Trico's horns are broken, he won't listen anymore. And so they're chaining him up because they don't know, you know, what he's gonna do. The good news, though, is that Trico doesn't eat kids. He just temporarily swallows them. So that's where the tattoos came from. From whatever goo, presumably probably barrels, is in Trico's stomach that seems to give the kid his tattoos. So that's how we ended up in the cave with Trico at the beginning. You know, he was trying to... Well, who knows what he was trying to do, right? But he got interrupted on the way and put in that cave, and so he kind of barfed us up. And we were there together.
IU Rabo, OT Ukaya, Anetu Tara, Ate de Keda Rosi, Adatu, O Nozi, Awo Kuku, O Mara Genara Woso, Inakubas.
The only thing is, the boy isn't looking too good. You know, he's a lot paler than he was before. He's got a lot more tattoos than he had before. And Trico is kind of realizing, you know, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have eaten him because he's not looking good. You know, obviously really not waking up. And Trico is starting to panic. He's trying everything that he can think of to wake the boy up. Particular cutscene, even like in the context of a speed run where we're skipping as much as we can, this cutscene is unskippable. So you have to go through the heartache every time. Last-ditch effort. Trico thinks, okay, sunlight didn't work. Touching him didn't work. I gotta try. Maybe he's thirsty. Maybe he needs some water. That'll help. And so conveniently, you know, he puts him face down into the water. But it does work.
Worst thing? Wow, you know, I didn't think that would actually work that quickly.
Normally I don't watch that, but Trico's just so excited that you're okay. So we're back. Apparently we feel as if nothing has happened because we're already just zooming right around again. So Trico did his best boy duty, and he saved us in our time of need. Admittedly, that need was caused by him eating our faces, but you know. You forgive and you forget. You got it, buddy? You seem confused. Okay, we're gonna try this again. You ready? We'll just get stuck for absolutely no reason. Thankfully, it looks like he just broke of it. And so up we go. Okay. Sure, let's just fall in midair for a while. I was hoping that would negate fall damage because, once again, I've never seen that before. But it's cool. This point doesn't have a reset, so we are just gonna have to wait for Trico. But we seem to be in some kind of mine now. And there's not really anywhere Trico can go. This is the only place left available to us to try to find our way to that white tower. And Trico certainly can't fit down these holes. So we got a problem on our hands. Help, okay? There's a trophy for getting Trico to stick his head in all available, like, spaces. And he's real good at just weaseling his way into these tiny little gaps. You don't belong here, you're too big. But thank you. Trico, what are you doing? Stop shouting all over the place. Way to be a booger. Keep moving his head. Alright, so we gotta unlock this, because this is really the only way that we have to go. And now, you know, against all reasonable advice, we gotta try to get Trico through this cave. So he is gonna just jam himself through and try to keep up with us. You can sort of see him in the distance. Come on, buddy. He's trying. I mean, he made it this far. But this was a bad idea. Trico turned out to be far too big. It was a doomed mission from the start. Okay, but poor Trico has kind of been trapped underneath all of this rubble. You can see that the stones are actually moving with him as he breathes, so he is okay. Kind of. As okay as you can be when, you know, an entire mine shaft collapses on your head. So, you know, we're trying to figure out, oh no, what do we do? And suddenly, these guys appear. So now we're in a real pickle, because we really need Trico's help to fight these guys. But Trico is back there not feeling so good. Thankfully, he is our best buddy, and he's not going to let us be in any kind of trouble if he can help it.
We have time for a quick donation.
Sure.
We got a $50 donation from Ninja Bread M4N. Trico is best boy, even if he does eat his friends sometimes.
I mean, every now and then, you can probably eat a friend. It's okay.
Every now and then.
Trico is always really pacifist during this fight. I'm actually surprised that he took out one of the armors at the beginning. I usually have to take care of all of them. I don't know why. I don't know why, like, just in this particular hallway he's really pacifist. But he always is. It's actually kind of considered a skip if you can get him to actually, like, fight these things. It's just expected that he won't. Calm it down, my feathery friend. And now, with that fight over with, we make our way to White Tower Skip. White Tower Skip the Run Ender. So the scaffolding over here, you can see it's kind of shaped in V's. It comes to a V point, you know, multiple times along the bottom. We are going to be trying to get the boy into one of those V's. Because over across where you can see those two eyeballs, there's the upper, you know, level of the bridge, which is the part that we want to be on because it has the eyeballs. And then there's the lower level, which is where we actually have to go because there's a break in the bridge and we can't reach the top. Let me let this play and then I'll continue. Oh, we're gonna try to get the boy into those V's because we're gonna be down below and we want to be on top. Normally the way to solve this would be to, you know, just go down below and go all the way around this white tower. Which we did want to be at the white tower and that's great. We're here, except that these eyeballs are in the way and Trico's not gonna come over until we take care of him. So the bridge is broken, we can't make it across. We gotta go down below. White Tower Skip will put us inside the V. Normally it would be this V, but I do this a little bit differently. Once you're in the V, you walk up this diagonal plank that you can see. And above you will be a beam. It's very challenging to get the boy to think that he can grab that beam because you're not supposed to, so you sort of have to trick the game using the camera into thinking that he can grab it. And then once you do that, it's one more hop up and you're at the top. I go a little bit further onto the bridge to avoid having to do the first part of the skip, which Wow. Which gets you into the V. That was a first try White Tower skip. I would pay money for that in an actual run. Yeehaw! That literally just saved like 5 minutes. Right? I was pushing these eyeballs off to try to get Trico to come over. But now these guys are coming out and they're all shooting this magic at me so much that it doesn't matter how much I button mash. I cannot get away from this magic. So we still have an eyeball here and these guys have shields. There's no way that Trico is going to come to help me, you know, because he's afraid of these things. These guys are going to catch me and they're just going to take me into the blue doom doors. Story-oriented puzzle platformer is exactly how I would describe this game. For sure. So Trico, our boy, faced his fears, went through all those eyeballs to come and get us. Trico flew. He can fly. His wings are okay. He's not necessarily very good at it, but he can do it. He saved us. And now we need to save him. So I'm gonna try to open up this gate for him, give him a place to go instead of just hanging onto this ledge. And as always, you know, Trico likes to break things. Not on purpose, of course. I'm gonna try out this skip. It's very common to die here. Oh, tip of tail. Well, I'll take it. So there's just one problem, in addition to the fact that Trico is, you know, currently clinging on for dear life. We were just at the White Tower. That's where we wanted to go for the entire game. And Trico just completely destroyed our only way to get there, the bridge. He just melted it. So, I'm gonna have to find a different way to get there now. Hey, buddy. Ready?
Atisakyak yetu ninaf aturikono agiane hetiroi yo agatu ian ihetu nezuna arakulo kutiu otiana risoma kyura letu arake.
I love you too, buddy. The problem with petting Trico at that point, even though he's asking for pets, is that he asks for pets a little too hard and he yeets you out the window. So you can't really let him do that.
It's a trap.
It's certainly faster than walking. But like I said before, he's not very good at it. So I'm going to try, if Trico is listening, which he seems a little confused about. Here, buddy. I am going to try to trick Trico into flying. But first, I need to get him to listen. Good? To fly, this will be a lot faster than waiting for him to do jumps. So flare out like that, and then hopefully, if he's a smart boy, and we all know he is, he will do his little flight thing. Not the most graceful, but he got the job done. He's yelling at? The answer is always the White Tower, because does he hate it? Does he want to go there? Like, you don't really know. All you know is that he feels some sort of way about it. Nice thing about White Tower Skip being placed where it is, as far as being, a really challenging strat, is that immediately after you do it, you get to enjoy this part of the game, which is one of my absolute favorites. This scene coming up is, I think, just done so well. But I'll let you decide that for yourself once you see it. So Trico's gonna be fighting those guys. We can leave him to that, because, like I said before, he's a big boy. He can handle it. We already know that he is not gonna appreciate this eyeball, so we'll go ahead and preemptively get it out of the way. Bridge, I mean, it was slow enough that in a competitive run I would have been a little sad, but for the sake of this, we got it done, and it was alright. Surprise! Haven't seen her for a while. And she is not happy. And dragged him down with her when we tried to just knock her off. And very upset. So this time, we're gonna slam her tail in the door. Anything to let her get rid of, not hold on to Trico anymore. Because she is just thrashing him. Oh boy. Oh boy. I think I'm still on the platform. is taking a thorough trouncing, and he's really in need of some help. Thing that we have. Helmet off, and we broke one of her horns. That seems to have chilled her right out, and she's not interested anymore. Unfortunately, Trico's got a bunch of speed. That guy who was just chucking them all. Alright, I don't see any visible, which is both good and bad. Mirror, Trico kept it after one of the times that he ate us. It didn't come back out when he barfed us back up. So now with the mirror again, we're able to start solving puzzles using Trico's tail again. Trico's really in a bad spot, you know, he's just been completely thrashed by this other Trico. So we gotta give him lots of barrels. While we're at it, we're gonna take out, this is an enemy that we would have to deal with much later. We're gonna go ahead and take him out. This was so impactful for me the first time that I played this. It's still one of my favorite parts. Because when you don't know how to solve... Hold it. When you don't know how to solve this puzzle, you know, of helping Trico with the female Trico, it's so stressful. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about before, earlier in the run. This is the spear check. This is the game, you know, see how many spears are in Trico. If the little boy says, hold on Trico, I'll pull it out, that means we did not pass the spear check. Trico has too many spears in him for us to progress. However, worst case scenario just happened. It said, hold on Trico, I'll pull it out, but we had no spears to pull. So that's why we had to reset the checkpoint. Because resetting the checkpoint will randomly reassign spears, so that gave us a couple to pull. But it's good that the boy said that early, you know, before we went and got all the barrels and everything. Do this again. This train has 2 barrels. That's why we knock it down. Happens. The reason that sometimes there's no spears to pull is because in the previous fight, Trico had a ton of spears thrown at him by the enemy. And depending on where they were thrown, he landed on them when he fell down. So it's not wrong of the game to count those spears because, you know, he got them in a legitimate way. But, you know, it depends on chance where the armor guy threw those spears, what side of Trico they landed on, such that they might be underneath him right now. This is actually the first time that has happened to me in quite a long time. So while hold on Trico, I'll pull it out isn't super uncommon, I would say I get that probably about 60% of the time. Having no spears to pull is much more uncommon. Doesn't matter how far you fall, you'll always be safe. For Trico, you know. Little boy comes slamming down on his injured thigh. Our boy needs lots of barrels in order to feel better. And it's clear at this point that these barrels do actually kind of heal Trico. You know, they healed his horns, they were healing his tail. So this is basically, you know, the only chance that he has to recover from injuries like this. Thank goodness there were a lot of barrels that just happened to be around here.
That certainly was nice of the game to put those there.
Spooky thing that could happen. I said before that we were lucky that the boy said, "Hold on, Trico, I'll pull it out," when he did. He can say it at any point before you give Trico the final barrel. So you can do all of this, you know, be 3 barrels in, and then the boy's like, "By the way, there's too many spears." So we were lucky that he said it so early, so we could just reset immediately. Triggered, which means we are good to go. We have passed the spear check now. Now we are entering Pink Sky, which is the final section of the game. We've come a long way with Trico, but some of the most difficult challenges are still ahead of us. The little kid has slept since he came here, which I feel like is a tall order. Like, I think it's implying that this game only takes place over, you know, 3 or 4 days. Including the days that the boy was just unconscious at the beginning. Once again, you know, we took a tumble. We were climbing pretty high and then we fell down. So we gotta make up some ground to get to the very top and hopefully get back to that white tower. Now, and we will have it for the rest of the game, which is both great and not so great because that's another thing mapped to the circle button now. With more options for dealing with things like enemies. That I shot earlier, the one that I said we'd have to deal with later. Right. Trico, what are you angry at, buddy? Buddy, what are you angry at? I've never seen him get angry here. What's up? It's odd. There's an enemy on the next platform, but it was a little bit early for him to get upset at that. may have been hard to spot, but you can see that Trico's tail is significantly longer now, and his lightning was no longer a lightning bolt, it was a bunch of lightning balls. His tail is now fully healed from when he got struck. And that lets him use those more powerful blasts. Really want him to turn around. Very good. For some reason, only in this particular spot, if his butt is facing you, he won't shoot his tail. It's only right here. I don't know why. He's facing me. But here again is another one of these cages. This will be the third one that we've faced. And both of the other times, he's hopped down in here, gotten really angry, and then eaten me. So I'm sure that he's going to be less than willing to come into this one. Already upset. He's like, I know about this. I don't like it. It takes a lot of coaxing. But eventually we can get him to come down because he trusts us. Was able to stand up to his fears, overcome the mind control that would normally take him over, and just straight up annihilate it. I'm not even going for the high mirror. There's one that's like way out of sight, and you kind of have to blind aim at it. But Trico's already so close to me, he's just going to be in the way. If Trico steps into the mirror's light, it'll unfocus, and the whole like charging time for Trico's tail will reset. So if Trico steps in the way, we essentially like can't shoot with the mirror. Trico, it's rotating. I need you to shoot, buddy. So we got a lot of those out of the way early, which is great because that prevents us from having to deal with them later. We do still have this one that I didn't get, but that will be a simple thing later. Trico often misunderstands here. He's supposed to jump, but the command for jump... What are you doing? The command for jump and the command for standing on his back feet are the same. And for some reason he's programmed to do both here, so it's kind of chance which one you get. He's setting up this time like he's gonna jump, so. Off in the distance, we are very close to being at the top, which we have been working at for, you know, more than 3 hours at this point. So the thing about Trico's wings is that they're small when they're on his body, but when he actually needs to use them, they grow. So as soon as they're out, they actually grow bigger. I guess you could call it magic. He's some sort of special. But that's why his wings look so tiny when they're folded up next to his body. I did that when Trico came to save me, he destroyed the only bridge that led to the White Tower. So there's really no way we can get to it directly anymore. And in order to overcome that, we are going to have to put a couple pieces of architecture together, a couple bridges, using these towers. So the next section is going to be working toward that goal. We're going to alternate back and forth between these two towers to try to build something that we can use to get to the White Tower. We actually don't want Trico to run here. He probably will. Because his running animation is slower than his walking animation because he does that skid and then he just completely stops. Earlier, it is definitely possible to hit it earlier. It's just Trico had come a little bit too far, so didn't fancy wasting the time on it. Go. We're climbing up, and we're keep doing this. We're gonna climb up, go across, climb up, go across, back and forth until we've built the thing that we need to build. These mirrors, you know, these eyeball things that Trico's afraid of, are completely gone now, so we don't have any more of those to worry about. There are gonna be some enemies that we have to take care of. Technically, I could shoot one of them from right here, but it's such a small platform, and you need Trico to, you know, not interfere with the light of the beam, that it's not worth it. Like, I would say probably 1 out of 20 times it works. Or you can just wait until you're supposed to do it, and then it's 100%. Go, you troll. Going backwards. Sometimes he'll stay up here. Most of the time he does that where he hops back down. Hi! Nice to see you again. What are you upset about? You can actually see his wings get big there. And they'll go back small once he tucks them back in. I don't know if that's like an actual lore thing, or if it's literally just, you know, the people who made the game thought that his wings looked too big, so they kind of cheated and just made them big when they were out. that are on his back now and just spread them out. They would look really rinky-dink, and you would know that he wouldn't be able to fly with them. Enemies here to deal with. I have definitely had these guys throw spears so perfectly that they hit the boy and like pushed him a little bit and he just fell off. Like, what are the odds? Alright, we're getting there. This is certainly, you know, in terms of general tech, one of the blandest parts of the run. It is just getting Trico to platform as quickly as possible. Thankfully, once we're finished with this section, we'll get to some of the most intense stuff, you know? So it balances out. You know, I could hit this guy, he's just right there. But this tiny platform is barely big enough for me and Trico, let alone Trico being out of the way of my mirror. So it's really not worth it. Here it is. Well, I would take it out if I thought that I could. Apparently I can't. There we go. Number one of what we're going to be building. See, Trico is very interested in going over to that white tower, and we currently have no way to get over there, so the first thing to do is, you know, conveniently, we can flick a switch up here, and it'll make a bridge. Not the bridge we need, but a bridge. Well, that bridge kind of leads off into nowhere, but it's a start. Ready, buddy? Got a little bit more work to do. You can't give up now. Sometimes he just does those pointless runs for no reason. Alright. Trico, let me down. Standing right in the way. So here is where we essentially commence the end game. Like, we are in the end section now because it's pink sky, but Or the game, you know, gets to its final little chunk. And things are going to get very hectic very quickly. And I'm probably going to start spouting nonsense because my way of dealing with all of this hecticness is just to talk. So enjoy in advance. I'm going to pop out of this window and hope that Trico catches me because he's a good boy. Thanks, buddy. That way I, you know, just get to be down here instead of having to climb all the way back down using the stairs. So we have made one big long bridge. I'm not playing with game audio, so if you hear music, that's good. That means things are going as they should. Friend? You can do it. Have some music. We are at the White Tower. This is where we've wanted to go since the beginning of the game, and we finally made it. This is definitely the hardest single section of the game as far as, you know, just completing it. The cage puzzle is certainly challenging. You know, the water puzzles earlier were challenging, but this is just a whole different kind of challenge. You can see when these armor get close to my mirror, they turtle up. This mirror seems to have some sort of power over them that stops them from getting close to it. Which is great, and we will certainly use that to our advantage. Because while I do often want to be caught so that Trico will help me, I don't always. Taking a risk here, yep, and turning my back to the enemies. Trico, come get me. Thanks, buddy. I do need to be careful. No, I don't want this. I want this. I don't want this. Did you see that? Because everything is the circle button. And then I couldn't finish him off because I kept grabbing that other helmet. Nope. Not like that's the first time I've seen that. Down here though. In prep for what comes next. I was just gonna fall instead of exploding. Convenient to explode. Repair the rest of the armor himself. Because I have a job. And it involves this door. These are the doors that they would take me through if they were able to carry me far enough. you know, to where they actually want to carry me when they catch me. Here you go. I'm kind of counting on you, buddy. Finish up that fight up there. Really don't want to leave this because there's a guy with a mirror coming out. And if I'm there as soon as he spawns, I can get him to drop it and he'll never bring it out. And so nobody will ever pick it up. There's a chance that someone with a mirror can spawn on the other side. We'll have to see if he starts walking down the stairs. No, I'll go after you because you're gonna get me. Trico's tail does have a recharge time, that's why you don't see it just working immediately. Oh boy, that was spooky. Ready? Or rather, I hope that it's everybody, because if it's not, this next skip isn't gonna work. There's remaining a huge invisible barrier, the shape of the inside of this white tower, is up. And it only goes away once the armors are defeated, so... That's what prevents you from just coming back and trying to do this without doing that entire armor fight. Hard to find a way to skip that fight. Now this is intended to be solved by Trico following you in here and then you shoving his tail down one of these holes. But instead, we're just gonna hop down and grab without him. The thing above is an elevator. And in order to use the elevator, you have to activate each blade of the, like, circular door that is holding it closed. And so each of these guys are standing in front of one of the activators for the blades. So we need to take care of all of them. I am gonna get caught, I know. That's why I was already jamming the buttons before he even got me, because I am right in front of a door and if he takes me through, I will die. I think not, buddy. Worked. I don't think that it did. I intentionally blew up all those guys in the hallway. It's very much RNG, but I blew them up in such a way... No. Stop doing that. I blew them up in such a way that there was a chance that one of their heads would go over to this guy, which it kind of just did. And wake him up without me having to do anything. So as you can see, you know, that's a very chance-based puzzle. It has everything to do with the physics of how they explode. But there's always a chance, so it's worth a try. And you can see that door blocking the elevator made up of multiple parts. We are activating those parts one by one. Actually a pretty solid battle with these armors. It was not bad. It's actually just a reset, but the way to get out of here would be to grab Trico's tail, which is now hanging down in the middle, and, you know, just climb back out. But because of the way checkpointing works in this game, we can actually just completely avoid doing that by resetting as soon as this cutscene is done. And it'll take us right back to the top of the elevator. Here we go. The end game for this certainly is brutal. Let's see how this treats us. You ready, Trico? I'm gonna need your help, buddy. So it's another armor battle. This one is absolutely massive. It's multiple waves. Lots and lots of enemies. I'm actually kind of glad that he grabbed me. His Trico's just right here anyway. Thanks, Trico. That was really good. Oh, it didn't knock him down. He stayed up there. Of course he did. And this guy with the mirror is already out. I could have done the same thing as before and just caught him right as he was coming out the door. Come on, Trico. Come on, Trico. Ah, the mirror's back up. Let me go. Let me go. If this guy gets the mirror and Trico actually looks at it, which he was, he'll become permanently more pacifist, so we really need to break this. Looking directly toward me, would you? Thank you. Get them both, Trico. You got neither. So as you can see, like that's what I mean by Trico being more pacifist. He saw that mirror, it stopped him from fighting, and now that's a permanent state. The game, I don't think, is intended to be that way, but it just happens to be that way. Stop. That guy, just stop doing that. There's another one. There he is. Drop it. Need some help. Thank you. I need this mirror to break. There we go. Alright, consider me much less concerned now. And I'm sure you can see, based on everything, you know, that we've talked about before, why this fight can be a little bit challenging. Because there are a ton of helmets on the floor. That means that a lot of times I'll grab those instead of the armor. If I want to grab, or if I want to use the mirror, sometimes I'll grab helmets. It's all the circle buttons. Sometimes I'll end up petting Trico in the middle of this fight. It's just, it's chaos. See, just like right there, I wanted to grab this guy's head. I still want to grab this guy's head. And instead I'm using the mirror. Good job, buddy. I need Trico to stay out of the middle for just like a hot second. So many times I've had that come down right on his back and he just won't move his big old feathery butt. Okay, so that's over, which is a relief. You know, a very intense spot where I have to focus for a long time. So the hardest part is over. We've got a couple more things to do, and then the cutscenes, which is, you know, what everybody donated for. Obviously, we've already had some really interesting, really good cutscenes so far, but the ending cutscenes are really, really fantastic. And also as part of that incentive was the secret ending, so while we will skip the credits, just because, I mean, they are nice, but they take a long time. After the credits, there is a secret ending that reveals, you know, the real ending. So we'll watch that as well. By the way, this is the room of 5 frames. Or have an inclination here shortly about why there are so many barrels here. As well as what may be in the barrels that we've been feeding Trico this entire time. Or that they don't get the stuff in the barrels from some mystical glowy goo slushy machine. It comes from somewhere else. Made the early jump. That's good. Trico's gonna leave without us because we weren't supposed to go in here. That's fine. It's kind of real. He is locked inside this... I don't even know what you would call this. This stuff. But it reacts to the mirror. If we take it all the way into the Master of the Valley so it completely disappears, it'll shoot back out real fast. But if we take it until just before it disappears, it'll come back out really slow. And that'll give us time to climb the Master's cage. Out here, you may be able to hear it, or you may have noticed it earlier, is a gigantic fan. And we need to stop it. So the mirror will do that. Trico is trapped underneath the blades, so we need to slow the fan down until it stops, and then give Trico a chance to hop out. If this run is truly blessed, Trico will poop on the top of the tower. I think we've had that once in the last 6 months. Because usually it's a result of going a bit too slow, so that's why it doesn't happen too often. Hey buddy, wait for me! Wait for me! Wait, wait! No! Trico, no! Hi, Trico! I'm glad that that checkpointed where it did. Because Trico decided he didn't want to be on this adventure with me anymore. I'm gonna tell Trico, hey, can you fly me across here? Like, can we actually get out now? And right as I tell him to do that, this starts happening. One Trico that we fought is by no means the only other one. Suggestion for what's inside those. Some people don't agree. It's kind of up for interpretation. Play it safe and actually go back before I go forward, just so that one can't hit me. This is the mirror, which was knocked off of my arm when I got flung around. Kind of stuck on this Trico, hanging on for dear life and hoping that we don't fall off. All of these Tricos are actually different if you sort of look into the game's code and see their models. They all do look different. But we just gotta kind of chill and wait for this guy to calm down. So it seems like the boy was actually, you know, quite lucky that Trico got struck by lightning, because he would have ended up deposited into that little baby bird face just like all the others. We're almost there. I'm actually in a pretty good position right now, so I do want to kind of just keep this the way it is instead of moving around. I'm gonna go flying. That was an alright way to go flying. And we gotta grab this mirror, because it's the only chance we have of protecting Trico. Maybe, if we can make his tail shoot, we can scare these other guys away. Because otherwise, what are we supposed to do against this whole horde of massive creatures? Trico, once again, loses the tip of his tail. It had just grown back, and here it goes. And so we say, you know what? Enough of this. Nobody's hurting my Trico. Once and for all. So Trico's tail got thrown in here, thank goodness. We're getting this thing down here, and we're taking care of the Master of the Valley. Really? Technically gonna stop when I hit the Master, so I'll call time here in just a second. Yeah, that did not actually hit him. That happens sometimes. It just broke his cage. So like I said before, we met the donation incentive for all cutscenes, so enjoy these final cutscenes. Oh, all the ones that were mind controlled. When the Master was destroyed. Like, it fried their brains or something, It went wrong for them. But Trico's okay. Kind of. Because he had broken free of that mind control, probably by breaking his horns at the beginning. My personal opinion is that Tricos aren't supposed to have horns. It's just because they get fed that stuff in the barrel that they grow horns, and that enables them to be controlled. So this is where we first picked up the mirror that we used to activate Trico's tail. It has an uncanny resemblance to the pool in Shadow of the Colossus. It's just that now there's a sarcophagus there too. Rico that we had fought earlier, you can see one of her horns is broken too, from when we threw the minecart onto her head. So that's probably why she's okay as well. See what I mean about them just loving to have, like, feathers and all sorts of stuff flying around all the time? We know at this point that when Trico, swallows somebody, he doesn't actually eat them. He just holds them. There's still quite a lot more. Not only did he spit the boy out with the mirror in his own home village, but you can see that the boy is no longer surrounded by, like, barrel goo like he normally would be if Trico spits him out. Like, Trico doesn't have any more barrel juice, any more healing juice. This is actually a playable part of the game. Trico is, here in the village being threatened by these people, and this will literally go on forever unless you, the player, command Trico to leave. Coming up here, we are going to skip the credits, but there is more after the credits. That's the secret ending, and I will play that. Credits, we can go ahead and skip those. And we'll start to get what is trying to trick you into thinking is the menu, the main menu, because this is, you know, the boy's mirror that appears when you first start the game. So most people will just kind of be like, oh, you know, yeah, okay, whatever, and either turn the game off or hit start and skip it. If we give it just a minute, this after credit scene will start. It's not very long, but it's worth it. So stick around for just a little longer. So see, this looks, you know, just exactly like the title screen to try to trick you. But if we hit some buttons, we'll start playing this after credit scene. Secret ending. The places that we started the game out in, these were the first couple puzzles that we solved with Trico. Over on the left, there's a smaller, squeakier little creature. So it kind of implies that Trico is there and that there's a little baby Trico. The trophy that you get for completing this game is called Though We Are Far Apart, and that secret ending really ties that idea together well. But thank you all so much for watching, and thank you so much for donating to make that cutscene incentive. Cutscenes are one of my favorite parts of this game. Plus, the money goes to a good cause, so it's a win-win. But that's it for me. I hope that everybody enjoyed, and thank you so much for having me. Enjoy the rest of the runs.
thanks for the run. That was really fun.